Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Informal back with a new episode of podcast, the Mr. Informal podcast. We are on the 46th edition of the Mr. Informal podcast. I hope you are doing well today. I do not like this daylight savings time because we moved up an hour, so we lost an hour of sleep. I like sleep, so should you. I think sleep is the fountain of youth. So, moving on with the podcast, we got 4 topics that we need to cover. They're mostly, actually, all of them are tech related, no fashion related, because as you can tell, or if you have not tell lately, fashion is going through some transition lately in terms of subconscious and also ethos. But these are the topics for the podcast. So, based on studies, binge watching increases blood clot risk. That's interesting. Number 2, driverless cars are getting damaged and hit by people in San Francisco. Number 3, luggage and carry-on with integrated battery packs. And they are exploding, they are getting fired. Number 4, and last but not least, these smart speakers, these AI assistants, may be listening to you, even though they should not. That is quite scary. And so, let's start with the Mr. Informal podcast, the 46th edition. So, the first topic is binge watching increases blood clot risk. Based on a study by University of Minnesota, they studied 15,000 participants over a 24-year period. So, based on their studies, the study found that those who watch TV very often had a 1.7 times higher risk of developing deep vein thrombosis, blood clots in the leg, on pulmonary embolism that can be life-threatening. Isn't that pretty obvious? I mean, if you're sitting 20 hours a day, I could see where the risk can occur. I mean, you could say the same thing about when you're sitting in the office too much, or you're typing too much, doing work too much when sitting. You have to get up. I mean, binge watching, there's nothing wrong with binge watching, but when you binge watch more than 10 hours, that's ridiculous. I think I can only max out maybe an hour or 2 hours in regards to episodes, but I can't do a full day of watching movies. But in regards to this, I think if you want to binge watch, that's fine, but you have to get up sometime, you have to exercise, you have to move. At least give your body some movement. That way you don't get these you don't increase the risk of this happening. Not only that, if you binge watch too much and eat the same time, obviously you're gonna gain weight. I mean, weight also comes in a factor here. It just depends on what you do and how you binge watch. If you're laying on the couch, laying down, not just sitting, that might actually be better, because instead of sitting. But the fact that it's only 1.7 times higher, well, actually, I mean, you just never know. You do not want to take a risk. But it is interesting that when they studied 15,000 people in a 24-year period, you know what, that's only 24 year. I would like to see a 2-year period when 15,000 participants watch Netflix, Hulu, Amazon straight watching and binge watch a season. Like binge watch the whole series and see what kind of results they can get compared to a 24-year period. And so, I mean, do I binge watch? Not really. Like I said, I can only stand maybe an hour or 2-hour episodes of certain shows or certain series or even movies. So this doesn't really apply to me, but if you do binge watch, just make sure you actually move. So, on to the second topic, and this is quite interesting. So, apparently, based on recent reports that I was watching in Bloomberg and also local TV news channel, driverless cars are getting hit and damaged by people in San Francisco. Not all of them, but many of them. So, this is quite interesting, and I don't even know how to even comprehend or even understand this. Maybe these driverless cars just don't know how to drive. But then again, you can say that to a human. And this tells me that I don't think it's against these people are hitting or damaged cars are against driverless cars. I think it's more just the fact that these driverless cars just do not have the sense or the depth knowing how to drive, because when you drive you change a lot of things. Sometimes you adapt depending on the flow of traffic, depends on the pedestrian, stoplights. I mean, you don't know, there's so many variables that can go on. But if these people hitting driverless cars because they hate them or they think they're gonna take their jobs or whatever, then that's quite unlawful. That's not nice of them. Actually, that's not great of them. But then again, I mean, I've seen people hit other people's cars just for the sake of, whether it be insanity, whether it be just road rage, just being angry, or whatever it could be. But this is coming from San Francisco. San Francisco, one of the more liberal cities in the world, also one of the more tech city in the world. I mean, it is a very fast forwarding city compared to other regions of the world, because a lot of tech comes from there. And I actually think driverless cars could be great in the future. Now, will it take jobs? Pretty obvious, whether it be taxi, whether it be Uber, whether if you're a driver. But can it replace a human driver? Nope, I don't think so. I think a driverless cars will only replace a human driver once it knows how to adapt to the flow of traffic, anticipate a stoplight, anticipate a pedestrian. It's more of the anticipation, knowing how to adapt to that, to your environment. And right now, the technology is not there because driverless cars are relying on sensors, sonars, radars, whether it be cameras, movements. There's so many variables, but these variables are robotic and digital. They're not organic or mechanical. So it's quite interesting that a city like San Francisco are damaging driverless cars, and these driverless cars are only a prototype. They're not ready for prime time yet. They're not ready to be out in the world and to be to drive. Heck, if I see a car that is driving itself, I mean, I wouldn't. It'd be a bit weird, but then again, times are changing. I mean, would I want to go to work without having to drive? Yeah, that sounds great. Read a book, eat something while you're on your way. Could have some business conversation during the phone. I mean, the roads could be safer too, because driverless cars are probably driving within the speed limit. Not only that, stopping on time, doing normal DMV procedures. So seems like it's great, but as of right now, they cannot replace human drivers. So on to the third topic, and this is a big one. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen it in news, in certain articles. So these integrated luggage, these rolling luggage with integrated battery packs, power banks, are exploding and on fire during flights, in an airplane, in the cabin storage, even during the security scanning. They're absolutely exploding, go up in flames, and so, and they are becoming a fire hazard, a safety hazard, especially a big hazard during flight, because anything can happen. There are multiple reasons why this may happen, whether it be the pressure inside the power bank is just too much, maybe the molecules are also the positive, the negative, whatever it may be, the chemical reaction in there are becoming unstable. And so what happens is it sets itself on fire or it just explodes. And obviously when that happens, that becomes a safety hazard, obviously a fire hazard, and it may cause multiple injuries. Heck, it can even cause a multiple flight delays. And there's nothing wrong that we are connected in the world, but do we really need to carry power banks in our luggage, especially an integrated one, knowing that a lot of these power banks seems like they are not properly tested, especially when you are up in the air. Obviously there's pressure, there's also change of change of oxygen, and also change of temperature when you're in the air. And that happening, imagine if a lot of people's luggage are in the cabin, a lot of them had batteries, and suddenly they all explode or on fire at the same time. It can cause a major problem during flights, and that is absolutely not fun. That sounds like a nightmare. And I can understand why airlines are limiting or even restricting luggages, carry-ons having power banks, especially those big power banks that people tend to bring because they want their tablets, they want their phones, they want their electronics to be charged, even charging during flights, even though there's an AC outlet in airlines nowadays. And do we really need to get to that point? I would love to see more further testing of batteries, power banks, external batteries, and see how they cope with different types of pressures, also temperature changes, and even drop in oxygens. That's what happens with cars when you go up a hill. The oxygen, obviously the oxygen decreases, and the engine is not making the same horsepower. Obviously that's different. I'm not talking about stability here, but it be around there. We're talking about the same type of topic here. And hopefully, personally, I wouldn't want to buy an integrated rolling luggage with integrated battery pack. I would rather have my battery pack separate, because if it's integrated in the rolling luggage, I'm not sure if you can take it out. If it's stuck there or it's sealed already, then you're gonna have to buy a new luggage with a separate battery pack. At least you can put in a pouch, or maybe a thermal pouch, if I may add, because they have those, and it'd be much more safer, and it's obviously modular. And so we'll see what the future holds, because I've seen a lot of these rolling luggage, smart connected rolling luggage, in GoFundMe, in Kickstarter, and other types of websites that make you stay connected, make you charged and travel on the go. They're not happy right now. But then again, if it deals with issues, especially injuries and safety, then we have to put on the brakes, slow down, and review it, and make sure that we do further analysis to ensure that this does not happen again. So I was watching 60 Minutes as of last week, and it seems like these AI assistants, smart speakers, are listening, even though they say that they are not listening. But they are, and they are also collecting data without you knowing. And absolutely, I am not happy about that, because if I say the keyword, that's the only time it should be listening, that's the only time it should be collecting data. Heck, I don't even want it to collect data at all. And again, I don't understand why people are giving up their privacy. I mean, is it really that hard just to type it in and say, what's the recipe for this? How can you do this? How can you do that? I mean, do we really need AI to educate ourselves? I mean, why can't we be chasing that information? Why can't we do the education ourselves? Why do we let something or even someone educate ourselves? I mean, it's becoming a privacy issue. Not only that, a lot of these companies are collecting data. They say that to make their services better, which I doubt. They're just selling off your information, your data to these marketing and advertisement. So whenever there's a commercial or even you request something, they're gonna say, "Oh, would you also like to buy this? Oh, would you want to get to know about this?" The future of smart speakers are gonna be full of ads, and I bet on it. I would not be surprised. It's just like what happened to TV. It used to be a show, and now they want to make commercials and so and so. Heck, you won't even be surprised. There was a time when YouTube didn't have commercials or ads, but now they're adding ads. I mean, would I be surprised if smart speakers have ads now? No, I would not. Because while they are collecting data, they are also giving these to advertisements and telling them, hey, this is what the market, hey, this is what a lot of our customer buys, a lot of customer searches. And so when they see that data, these marketing or these ads know how to process that data and integrate it to the market. That way, you're not surprised as to why they're marketing to you, because this is what you search, this is what you ask. And it's kind of creepy at the same time. They said they're not listening even though they are listening. I mean, isn't that hypocritical? That's why I don't have a smart speaker. I would never want to buy one. I'm not interested in one. The closest speaker I can probably have is my Bluetooth speaker, my soundbar setup, obviously my phone, but that's about it. But when it comes to these AI assistants, I don't even want to know about them. I don't even want to talk to them. Yes, I do have a Fire Stick which I can activate the Echo, but I'm not really okay with that. The fact that my data is being sold without me knowing, I'm not really okay with that. Absolutely not. That is unacceptable. And sooner or later, these AI are gonna get smarter and smarter, and you never know. We're gonna live in a Jetson world. We have a robotic assistant. Her name would be Rosie. That wouldn't be too bad, I guess. I guess Rosie would be your own, and hopefully she's not sending data back to the headquarters. And so that basically it's for the Mr. Informal podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to me. I hope you enjoyed the topic that I just spoke about. And if you have anything to add or any you want to suggest or you have an opinion, let me know down in the comments below, because I do read comments. And so I will see you in the next Mr. Informal podcast. Bye bye.